we are talking to you about James Bond 007, Everything or Nothing. And I fear that if people hear we're talking about that, they're going to think we're talking about a new movie.
Yeah.
But this is actually a video game.
It's a video game, but unlike any video game that's ever been, certainly any Bond video game, it doesn't correspond to a movie that's just about to be released. It's a thing on its own. It is sui generis. It's extraordinary. They've come up with a whole new story, a new villain played by Willem Dafoe called Diabolo. Richard Kiel makes an appearance as Jaws, a whole new bevy of Bond girls, and it exists only, this world exists only in this video game. It's astounding.
So talk to me a little bit about the process. Was there preparation as you would prepare, say, for a film?
Well, no, because if you're preparing for a film, there's only a kind of limited number of scenes, that you're going to be in. There's 4 or 5 scenes. So you spend a lot of time, I do if I'm doing a Bond movie, and it happens with most movies, in which the script sends you the script and you come back and you say, well, I love this bit, but I'm not so keen on this line. And what does that line mean? I don't. And then they say, oh, well, this is John. And then I say, how would it be if we did this? And this goes backwards and forwards on fax machines, like between London and Santa Barbara, if it's a Bond movie. So by the time I get to London to actually shoot the Bond movie, I'm very happy with the script because I've been working on it with the co-writers for a long time. And then I go on the floor, and then there's Pierce, and we know each other well. And I've seen lots of Bond movies, so I kind of know the mood. I know what's expected. I know how it should feel. When you come in to do a Bond game, a video game, then you don't have any of those things. If you're doing, for example, a voice for Shrek, as I've done recently, well, then you get to see the storyboard. But when you're doing a video game, there's so many lines to cover the millions of different situations that you're totally in the hands of the director. You have to say to him, well, how tense is Q here? Is he worried that Bond's going to get killed, or is it a bantering thing where he's teasing Bond or ticking him off? And the director, who's been obsessing about this for 2.5 years, has all this in his mind. He can tell you exactly the degree of urgency that he wants. So that's the difference.
John, I just want to ask you very quickly about all these other projects you've got. Shrek 2 is coming out this summer, Around the World in 80 Days in post-production. We can't forget Choosing a Really Expensive School. And obviously, it's a very busy time. Do you sum up, do you look at your life and say, golly, I'm busier than ever this particular time?
Well, I've been dashing around doing lots of different things the last 4 or 5 years, and no major thing. And that's been very different because for something like 15 years before, I was doing a book with Robin Skinner, or I was doing a movie, and I knew kind of 3 years ahead what I was going to be doing for the next 3 years. Then I went into a mode when I moved to Santa Barbara of seeing what was coming up. And for example, the weekend I was up in San Francisco editing a program about wine that I'd made for the Food Channel. Well, that's a strange thing to do, but I had so much fun and I learned so much doing it. But I think probably now, having been a sort of gun for hire for a time and having got my life sorted out in Santa Barbara, because I moved my center of gravity out to Santa Barbara 4 years ago from London. I still spend a lot of time in London, but it's mainly in the summer. And I moved my center of gravity because I got my daughter back from my ex-wife, which was always our plan, and she wanted to go on living in America, which suited me because, frankly, the weather's better there and the work's here. So that's why I moved my center of gravity. And what's really happening now is I get the feeling that I'd like to get my teeth into something a bit more substantial again. But right at the moment, I don't know what it is, because I'm not a great fan of the people running the television companies anymore. I've had bad experiences with ABC and BBC and the big German company, RTL. And film executives, well, there's 1 or 2 very smart ones that I'm working for at DreamWorks. But on the whole, I get the impression they know more about marketing than they do about movies. So the question is, where do you do it? What medium do you work in? And I'm still in the process of figuring that out.
Just finally to wrap here, we've really enjoyed you on Will and Grace, and I hope.
Good.
And who knew that Minnie Driver was this funny?
Isn't she lovely?
Holy cow!
She is such a smashing girl. I just gossip with her and love it. Yeah, she's terrific. And Megan Mullally, I mean, how that girl manages in a day to memorize 50 new lines of dialogue, because it's not a writer-run show. The writer's the only people on the show matter. And they're giving you new lines up to the last moment. You don't even have time to learn the old ones. How she manages it, I don't know. And I've got to say, that relationship between Will and Grace, that's as good as the relationship between Ted Danson and Shelley Long, and that's the highest praise I can give.
Bond 21, have you started filming yet?
No, they've given it an extra year because there was so much publicity last time when it was the 20th Bond and 40th year. They decided to leave the gap as 3 years instead of 2, and I think that was smart. Otherwise, people just get too much publicity.
Just to work with Judy again, though.
Yes.
We love her. Bless her heart, and thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All the best.
Thanks.